Shalom, Erev Tov, good evening from Jerusalem, Israel. This is Mr. Lowell Joseph Gallen, founder of the Root and Branch Association Limited, established in the United States of God of Israel, bless America, in 1981 in New York State, and now celebrating our 42nd year. Today is January 22nd, 2023 in the Gregorian calendar, and it is the first day of the new Israelite Hebrew 11th month of Shvat, Hebrew Israelite year 5783, which is tomorrow, but for us, the days start the night before when the stars come out. So it's actually Rosh Chodesh Shvat. Now, we're very happy to have, once again, to begin for the new Gregorian year, our monthly Root and Branch Association Lost Tribes Fellowship seminars with Mr. Yair Davidiy, who is chairman of the fellowship and the founder of Brit-Am and Hebrew, what's the name of it at the moment, Yair? Hebrew Identity?
Brit-Am, Hebrew Awareness.
Hebrew Awareness and Brit-Am, one of the world's leading researchers on the lost tribes, the author of numerous books. I have some of them, incredibly prolific, and article after article after article. They're all good. I wish I had time just to sit in a little cottage in the Outer Hebrides where the clan Gallen comes from. I don't know if they're any relation to us Gallens, and just read them. Okay, we're going to begin by consent and agreement of our chairman and host with a musical interlude that somehow relates to the lost tribes, because I very strongly share Yair's sentiment that, among others, the lost tribes are to be found among the Scots, the Welsh, the Irish, the English. That doesn't mean everybody, it just means a lot of buddies.
So, Yohanan, John prefers to be called Yohanan. We and John are veterans, are old recent acquaintances, but we're used to each other. Right, Jonathan?
That's right, Yair.
Okay.
When I was in Israel, that's what they would call me all the time, Yochanan, and that's by the name that I go by, you know. And thank you for making me feel at home.
Okay. It's always good to see you.
Thank you.
Just a second. Okay, so we believe that the lost in tribes amongst Western nations, and there are many blessings, numerous blessings in the Bible. This is the Hebrew Bible. A good portion of the Hebrew Bible deals with the lost in tribes, deals with prophecies concerning the lost in tribes, deals with what will happen in the end times. It also speaks a lot of Judah. The Bible has a lot concentrating only on Judah, and it has a good portion of it. Still talks about the lost in tribes. Talks about the lost in tribes on their own in prophecy, or talks about them as they reconcile with Judah. And this is what the Bible says. You cannot deny it. You believe in the Bible, you have to accept this. And otherwise you have to explain to it. There's too much to explain on why it's being figurative. It's not really meaning what it says. So the simple truth of the Bible tells us the lost in tribes were exiled. Simple passage meaning of the Bible. Hebrew Bible tells us lost in tribes were exiled. The lost consciousness of their ancestry. And in the future they shall come back, shall reunite with Judah, and they shall be one kingdom. But nevertheless, they shall remain separate. So, first of all, we'll deal with talk about the reunification. The reunification, I read straight out of the Hebrew text. It says, I'll translate as I go from the Hebrew text. The word of the Lord came unto me, saying, "O you a man," this is on Ezekiel 37. "Take for you one stick, and you write on it for Judah, the Yehuda, with the name you shall have her up, and the sons of Israel, his companions. You shall take one stick, and shall write on it for Yehuda, and the sons of Israel, his companions." Okay, that's what it says. It says, the Yehuda, with the sons of Israel, his companions. Take one stick. Take one stick. And you could, and then, but a cock ate a hut, and then you would take another stick and write on it for Joseph, the stick of Ephraim, a Gobek Yisrael Aberav. Should point out a point, we use the term eitz. Eitz in Hebrew, it's usually translated as a stick, and that is how we're taking it. On the second stick, he was told to write, to Joseph, the stick of Ephraim, and all the house of Israel, his companions. Okay, it's two sticks. One stick in one hand for Judah, and the other stick in the other hand for the Israel, with Joseph, and the stick of Ephraim, and all the house of Israel, his companions. This word stick, eitz, in Hebrew can also mean tree. So, but how you would get right on a tree, I don't know, and put two trees together would be a bit difficult. So we may assume that the stick is intended, and that's how most people understand it. But I have seen illustrations that have placed the two trees combining. So that is a possibility. So this is the message that was given. The prophet Ezekiel was told to do this. And he was told, and you will bring them you will bring the two sticks, one towards each other, and they shall be one stick in your hand. And they shall be one stick in your hand. You see, it's one stick in your hand. Okay, two sticks, one for Judah, one for Joseph, the stick of Ephraim, and all of Israel, his companions. You shall bring them together, and they shall be one stick in your hand. That was the message. That is the message, the symbolic message. A lot of the Bible uses symbolism. And when they will ask you, your people, saying, what is this? Tell us, what are these things you're doing? Say unto them, so says the Lord God, Hine I take the stick of Joseph, which is in the hand of Ephraim, and the tribes of Israel, Havirav, Jadi Otamalav, and Etzud, and I'll put on it the tree of Judah. Vasitimotam Esahad, Vahayu Ahad Biyadi. Vahayu Eitzim, and these trees, these sticks which you write upon them in your hand, they shall be before their eyes. And you shall say unto them, so says the Lord God, I take the children of Israel, which are amongst the Goyim, amongst the heathen, they shall Gusham, that I went unto them, and I will gather them from all around, and I will bring them unto their land. And I will make them one nation, Goyahad, one nation in the land. Bahara Israel, on the hills of Israel, the mountains of Israel. And Melech Ahad, the Kulam, the Melech, and one king will be king over all of them. And lo yod the Shnei Goyim, lo yahasu od the Shtei Mamlachot od. Lo yitamu od, the Gilul Lahem, and they shall not pollute themselves, they shall not contaminate themselves with their evil idols and their abominable works and in all their sins. And I will save them from all of their dwellings in which they have sinned and win. And I will purify them, and they will be one nation, one people. And I will be for them God. And my servant David, Melech Aleim, shall be king over them. And Roy Ahad, and a shepherd, one shepherd, will be for all of them. And in my judgments they will go, and in my injunctions they will guard, and they will do them, and they will dwell on the land which I gave to them, which I gave to my servant to Jacob, who lived on it, and in which their forefathers dwelt, and they shall dwell on it, they and their children and their children's children, forever. And David my servant will be the king over them forever, and cry them Brit, and I will make with them a covenant of peace, Shalom, Brit Olam, an eternal covenant, with them. And I will place them in there, and I will increase them, and I will put my sanctuary in the midst of them forever. My sanctuary shall be over them, and I will be for them a God, and they will be me a people, and the heathen shall know that I am God, who sanctifies Israel, when my sanctuary shall be amongst them forever. So that is what we have concerning the latter days. When this will happen, we don't know. People sometimes ask me, importuningly, me to give some type of date, some type of estimation as to when these events will take place, and my guess is as good as anyone else's, or worse, because I'm involved in it with it. So we don't really know, but we can say we're closer to it today than we were yesterday. We're getting along. And this is a key section. This is a section which summarizes, if you go into it deeply, it summarizes a lot of the situation. You see here that Ephraim is dominant, that Joseph is dominant, that the 10 tribes have a dominant task to fulfill here. They are Judah is being put on them, and they are as they are, and the unification is taking place, and there will be one people, and David will be king over them all, and this is what we have. Later on, further on, the book of Yechezkel describes the division of the future land of Israel, the greater land of Israel, reaching from the Nile to the Euphrates, as it is divided in the future between the tribes. Each tribe has its own portion. And so that's another thing. Each tribe will dwell in its own area. So even though they will be united, Judah and Joseph will come together, will be one people, one king over them, one God that will they worship. They will still be separate, always separate. It will not be Judah and the 10 tribes will not intermix with each other. They will not lose their identity. Each person will know his own identity, will know who he is. According to the Rambam, he quotes the book of Malachi, the future king or a future deputy of the Messiah will tell every Israelite which tribe they belong to. So in the end times we will know which tribe we belong to, and this will be made known unto each and every one of us. And each and every one of us has a task to fulfill. The Rabbi Moshe Valley quotes from the book of Hosea concerning when Joseph went into exile, and he says, in effect, that when Joseph went into exile, the 10 tribes went into exile in order to rectify the world, in order to reform the world from within. And when they have done that or reached a certain stage in that process, they will return. They will be reunified with Judah. Until then, they have a task to fulfill. That is on the one hand, but you may ask, but if you look at the simple meaning of the Bible, in 2 Kings 17, they were exiled, the 10 tribes were exiled because they were worshipping idols. There's a whole description, a whole detailed description of what they were doing. They were Asherot, making Asherot, sacred groves, sacred prostitution, homosexuality, anything you want to imagine, anything which is, just imagine what's going on around us. So it's much worse even then than it is today. And because of that, they were exiled. And according to the different sources, they even stopped practicing circumcision. And they're worshipping idols. And in many ways, they were already considered goyim, halakhically goyim, before they were exiled. The exile just put a final stamp on it. And then the Assyrians, we have Assyrian inscriptions that the Assyrians are contrary to what some people claim. Sometimes you see in ancient histories claim that the Assyrians were quite tolerant of other religions. It's not so. The Assyrians tried to enforce their own religion, and they were quite brutal and quite ruthless and sadistic even in getting their way. And this on top of these already amenable, already assimilated Israelites. It wouldn't have taken long for them to all together change their religion, forgotten what Israelite ancestry they had. And this indeed is what happened, but nevertheless, physically they remain together. So that's a point that we should notice. Another point is that you sometimes see when you read a Wikipedia or some type of encyclopedic article concerning the exile of the 10 tribes, they sometimes try and claim that that only a small portion were actually exiled. So this is not true. Even according to archaeological evidence, it's not true. Every settlement we know of before the exile, had no continuation after the Assyrian exile. We only find ashes and ruins. And I have sources for this. So the exile was complete. And the Israelites disappeared. On the whole, because I just run quickly through the process of exile. This just because it's good to clarify a few points. The process of exile. The first exile, the Assyrians exiled the Israelites over several stages. The first major stage was probably the tribes east of the Jordan. Gad, Reuben, half the tribe of Manasseh were taken away first, and the northern Galilee afterwards. Even though some opinions say it was the opposite. Some opinions say that northern Galilee were the ones who were taken away first, and the tribes east of the Jordan after them. Doesn't really matter, they were taken away, and with a few years interval between them, and after that there remained a rump state. In other words, a small section of the original state around the region of Samaria, Shomron, Sebastia, that region. And that was the last section to be taken. And that too was taken, they're all taken away from there. We have inscriptions saying that such and such a number of Israelites were taken away from there, by the Assyrians, Assyrian inscriptions. And some of them are difficult to interpret because there's controversy as how they should be correctly rendered, but these inscriptions prove that it was an Assyrian policy to exile the Israelites, and the Israelites were being exiled, and we have proof of them being in their places of exile. But they're not describing the complete exile; they're describing one section of it, one segment of the exile that was taking place. So they confirm that the exile was going on, but they don't confirm the numbers. The numbers are confirmable because almost nothing was left afterwards. But sometime after all the Israelites were exiled, Sennacherib came down and he besieged Jerusalem. And when he besieged Jerusalem, he took all the area around Jerusalem, captured all of the cities, and then the Bible tells us, simply tells us they captured all of the cities. But the Midrashim say that he took all the Israelites, especially the tribe of Simeon, into exile at that time. And this has been confirmed by Assyrian inscriptions. So this is interesting because we have something the Bible doesn't say, the Midrash does say, and we have Assyrian inscriptions that confirm the Midrash. So if not only do we have a proof of the Bible from external sources, we even have proof of Midrashim, which is interesting. So a portion of the Israelites, most of the Israelites, nearly all the Israelites are taken into exile, so too were a good portion of the people from Judah, and the Israelites were taken into exile. After that, after having been taken into exile, only Judah remained. Okay, the present-day Jews are descended from those who inhabited previous inhabitants of the kingdom of Judah. The kingdom of Judah was originally populated by the tribes of Judah and Benjamin. Then most of the tribe of Levi came to the south, fled from the northern kingdom. It says that Yeravam, the king of the tribe of Ephraim, of the kingdom of Ephraim, of the northern kingdom, began to set up golden calves in Bethel, and in Dan. He told the people to worship these calves, or to make a pilgrimage to these calves instead of making a pilgrimage to Jerusalem. And he also appointed that from the lower caste, the lower ranks of people, priests to officiate over them in place of the Levites. So the Levites, most of the Levites came south at that time. The people who he appointed in place of the Levites may have been the original Druids. They may have given rise to the Druids amongst the Celts, because the Druid religion is similar to that of the Israelites in many ways. It had the Druid, and we trace the Celts, a portion of the Celts at least, to the Western tribes. And the Druids had a combination, an amalgamation, a syncretization, synthesis of Canaanite worship with Israelite worship. They called their god Bel, which is a form of the name Baal. And they had sacred groves, and they had Asherot, and they had words, Hebrew words, and different practices associated with the Hebrews. And they even had a kind of oral tradition parallel to what the Jews had. You had to good decades. Someone who wanted to become a Druid had to serve an apprenticeship for several decades and learn a great amount of material off by heart. It's forbidden to write it down, which is similar to how the Jews at the beginning, also the Torah shall Baal paid. The oral tradition was originally only passed from word of mouth. It was memorized. Later, it was written down because people were not capable of memorizing the material at a reasonable level. At all events, there were similarities between the Jewish religion, ancient Hebrew religion, and that of the Druids. And then the Babylonians came and they took Judah into captivity. They took Judah into captivity for 70 years. At the end of this captivity, they allowed the Jews to return. Okay, and the first Jews to return was Shaltiel, who is a descendant of the house of David. After that came Ezra and Nehemiah. And in their story, their records of how they returned is given in the books of Ezra and Nehemiah, also in the book of Divrei Yamim, the book of Chronicles, and also there it lists different clans within Judah who returned, different families, and it gives their names and their numbers. Okay, it gives their names and their numbers. And then it gives the total number. And if you add up all the names and numbers of the different families who are listed, the different clans, you get a certain number. And if you add up the total number which is given, there's a divergence. The two numbers don't coincide. There's about 20% are missing. And who are these 20%? These 20%, according to the Midrash Seder Olam, are all of the other tribes. All of the other tribes. And Ramban is a book of redemption. Actually, Aryeh was familiar with that for some time away. Weren't you? You Aryeh, and this book by Ramban, he says, why is this 20% from the other tribes not listed? Because the overwhelming majority of their tribes went into exile, and they had a role to play in their places of exile, and they would give expression to their tribal tasks, the inner tribal identity in their places of exile. Therefore, their names were not written because those who came back would be subservient, would be assimilated amongst the Jews and become part of the Jewish people. And these were refugees and others who had somehow or other come to the southern kingdom, and they became part of the Jewish people. So we have amongst the Jewish people, according to this, we have mainly people from Judah. We have people from Levi, from tribe of Levi. Each of them have an interesting point concerning Levi. Yes, there are two interesting points concerning Levi. We have Levi, and then we have Benjamin. And in addition to that, we have a mixed group of minority elements from all of the other tribes, also amongst the Jewish people. So amongst the Jewish people, you do find people descended from lost 10 tribes. But their presence was not emphasized according to the Nachmanides because their tribal expression was to be fulfilled through their brothers who were in exile. Now, I have a point to make. First of all, I have one of my sons is a rabbi. He lives on a settlement. He's a rabbi of a yeshiva and headmaster of the yeshiva, Yair Davidiy, and he saw a newspaper item that the present government has a lot of Levites in it. Benjamin Netanyahu is a Levi. Buji Herzog, the president, is a Levi. Shmuel Katz, the Minister of Transportation and a potential candidate to be a Prime Minister, is also a Levi. The Ramat Kal, the Chief of Staff, the new Chief of Staff, is a Levi. Levin, Minister Levin, the Minister of Mishpat of Law, he too is a Levi. He's the one who's creating all the turmoil at present. He wants to reform all of the legal system. That's the thing the Levites are known for, specialize in. And he too is a Levi. So I have quite a few Levites in the present government involved in various aspects of present Israeli conduct. And we have in Deuteronomy 17, we have a commandment that if you have a problem, you don't know if something is pure, impure, you don't know how the mishpat should be decided, you have to go up to the place where God would choose and come unto the Cohen, to the priest, the Levite, and the judge who will be in those days. That's what it says according to the literal translation of the Hebrew text there. You shall come to the priest, there's the Cohen, the Levi, and the judge. And remember that the priest and the Levi are both of them from the same tribe of Levi. The Cohens were also Levites. Moshe Rabbeinu, Moses was a Levi. And he gave the law, he gave us the Bible, but in the Bible there's a lot of things that are not certain how you should do them, and always all kinds of complications can arise. What to do in this such and such a situation, what to do in another situation, what to do when two injunctions, two commandments contradict each other, cannot be fulfilled at one at the same time. What to do in such and such a situation. So you have to have someone to go to. And the Bible says you should go up to the priests, the Levites, and the judge who will be in those days. So the judge is any Israelite. And this is not a commandment. It's a description of the reality. The commandment is you have a problem, you go up to the appointed judge. Okay? That is a commandment. Whoever the judge will be, you have to go up unto him. But then it describes the reality. The reality says you will come unto the priest, the judge, and the Levi. You will come up to the priest, the Levite, and the judge will be in those times. Okay? So even now you have priests and you have Levites and you have ordinary Israelites. And people, the Jews who pray in the synagogue, You give twice a week, actually 3 times a week, the Jews read portions from the Torah, and you have either 3 on weekdays or 7 or 8 readers, or 9 or 10, and it can be even more readers on the Shabbat. That is what I mean by readers. You have some nowadays. You have a professional reader, someone knows how to read exactly as it should be. But it is divided up into sections. Before each section, someone from the participants, from the kahal, from the audience, from the players, comes from the community, will come up and say a blessing over that section. And it's a great honor to do it. And sometimes people fight over it. They argue over it. Some places they sell them. Have bids. You can make bids. Who wants to go up first? Who wants to go up second? And some places you can get them very cheaply, 10 shekels, 20 shekels. Other places 1,000 shekels. Actually, it's not really that way, because the people who give large sums, they want to give charity. It's their way of giving charity, of contribution to the community. And incidentally, they also get, they earn for themselves a little bit of respect. They go up and say a blessing. Why do I say all this? Because the first 2 blessings are reserved in almost all cases for the Cohens and for the Levites. Okay? And then afterward, the rest of the Israelites have to sort it out between themselves, who's going to go up and who's not. So, and so too, you have Jews amongst ordinary Jews. I've been reading up on it. First of all, I've been reading up on about it, and also been doing my own observations and taking my own statistics and noticing things. And other people have also said similar, have done all the same thing before me under different circumstances. So what do you have? You look at you look at the Jews. Jews in a community, Jews non-religious Jews. Okay, you have less than 8%, 7%, 8%, 9% maybe are Levites. Another 8% Kohens. Amongst non-religious Jews, that is amongst religious Jews, religious observant Jews. Among non-religious Jews, it's less, about half that number. But there are also quite a few Kohens, quite a few Levites among non-religious Jews as well. And so these are the numbers amongst the ordinary people. Yeah, the proletarians. Yeah, the proletarians. When I was at university, we used to use this terminology. I had a lot of socialist young intellectuals playing around with socialist ideas. So I had the concept of proletarian from the Russian Revolution. And so a lot of the common people. So amongst the common people, you have a certain portion of Levites. And then after that, you have people who learn Torah full-time. People who learn Torah full-time, there's people in certain kollels and different institutions amongst the ultra-Orthodox. So amongst them, you get a slightly higher percentage of Levites. Not overwhelmingly significant, but it's there. There are slightly more people who are Levites or Kohens among such people. And then you go up a level where they start to get more serious, and they're people of high learning standards. You get a higher level of Levites and Kohens. And you go up to the top, and you get more than 50% of them Levites or Kohens. And the books they write, a good portion of the books they write, that last for centuries. The legal books, most of them are written by Levites. The Mishnah Berurah, it's written by Levites, by Levi. The family of Briska family is written by Levites. Soloveitchik, maybe Arya knows that, they were founders of Yeshiva University and all the rest of them. Whole family of rabbis who are all over the place. They're Levites. And this is a significant portion of the number of great rabbis. Some are the Levites or Kohens. So this is a blessing to Moses. Said, "You'll come unto the priests, and that is the Kohen, the Levite, and the judge." He's describing the realities of prophecy. That is telling us that a good portion, an overwhelming portion of those who you will go to will have the authority. That is, how do they get the authority? They learn, they apply themselves, so they have aptitude. Because you can people who learn very well, very deeply, and are experts, but they somehow they apply their learning in other ways to decide how the law should be. A judge should be decided in difficult cases. It requires a special talent which seems to be inherited, and the Levites are very prominent amongst it. So that's a point of interest. It also helps prove the Bible. It's a proof of the Bible in itself. So that's what we have. Just a second. This is a book. This is a famous book written by a well-known author. It's worth buying. It's not very expensive, and it's of great value. Okay. So anyway, this book that I urge you all to, as quickly as possible, buy a copy or several copies, and you won't regret it. So we have the blessing. Two was given to Levi. It says they shall teach Jacob the judgments, and Israel the law. That was the judgment given. That was the blessing given to Levi. That was his blessing, and that was the blessing that we just saw. I just explained how it was fulfilled. And you want to say something about the offshoots of Levi? It's Levi and Simeon, two tribes which were Jacob said would be scattered throughout the rest of Israel. So Jacob and Simeon will be scattered amongst the rest of Israel. It says, because in Hebrew, it says, Klei Hametz Makorotayim. What is Klei? It says, tools of violence. I'm translating literally. Tools of violence are their means of livelihood. And because they wiped out the city. They wiped out the city of Shechem when they were 14 years old. And Jacob, it says, Rashi and the commentators explained that Jacob didn't trust them together. They were liable to do damage if they team up together, as they had done in the past. Also, they may have been responsible for having initiated the selling of Joseph. So another point. So Jacob said they would be scattered throughout all of Israel. The Levites in the end were turned this curse in a type of blessing, that they had this. They were appointed to be priests and judges and policemen, adjudicators, and they had other tasks, teachers, also musicians. All these were Levites. Where Simeon was also became known to be teachers or mendicants, that is beggars, and various other tasks Simeon is known for. And my impression is that a good portion of Simeon is scattered. We find the elements of Simeon in Brittany amongst the Celts, in Western France. We find them in different areas amongst the Anglo-Saxons. We found some amongst the Anglo-Saxons in Germany, who apparently migrated to the west with the rest of the Anglo-Saxons. Actually, their name given Simony or Simoni. This is not, and we also found some in Italy amongst the Lombards. Ohad was a clan from Simeon, and we also find a lot in Ireland. Also in Ireland, we find a lot of people from Dan, from the tribe of Dan, and also from the tribe of Ashur. And also we find others from Joseph amongst the people of Ireland, both the north and south. And many people from Ireland came to America. And in New York and other areas, they came to dominate the police force. They dominate the police force. In other areas, lawyers. In some places, some parts of the USA, understand, California and elsewhere, most of the lawyers are supposed to be from Ireland. Well, the people who work in the judiciary from Ireland. In other parts of America, most of the police force are from Dan. From Dan and from Simeon. And this is the part of the blessing too that Jacob gave to Simeon and Levi, was the tools of violence would be the tools of trade. So you have police brutality, here police brutality in America. It's because of the element from Simeon amongst them. You can always blame it on the genes, genetic disposition, okay? And also Dan, and Dan is connected with law giving and legal matters, as we mentioned in another context previously. And a lot of these things you can trace them, you can still find, in the same way as you find elements amongst the Jews. Levi, the genetic, one could say the inherited tendencies, giving expression to themselves naturally. So too, when you start to understand which tribes are where and where they might be, you start to see patterns. Look for patterns. That's what a researcher does. He looks for patterns. He looks for similarities. He links one thing to another. He sees parallels between different things and so on, and you can find them.